Thanks for tuning in today. I want to share a phrase I heard in the book, 10x is better than 2x. I was listening to it on a hike I did recently, and I had to pause it and write the phrase down and go, I guess, want to share it with you because it's the first time I'd heard it. And I realized that I've been one of these people in an organization and it's not all good. And I wanted to share what it was all about. So the phrase is Ratebuster. While it sounds like a bad 80s action movie, kind of like Ghostbusters, it's actually a really fascinating workplace concept. And it was originally coined in unionized labor settings. So a Ratebuster is someone who works faster, harder, or smarter than the agreed pace of the team. And so when you do that, I've been in certain scenarios in organizations, you think, well, if you've got an employee that is working faster, harder, and smarter, isn't that amazing? Shouldn't they be rewarded? But you actually find sometimes the opposite. You find, I feel like I was maybe a bit of a rebel or maybe treated like a bit of a cowboy because I was doing things a little bit differently. And yeah, this is actually a thing. I was like, oh my gosh, I wish I'd known about this before, or, just had a phrase for it because I'm just so confused. It's so counterintuitive. Why is someone who works harder, faster, better? Why is that bad for an organization? But I'll share a bit more as I dove into this concept. So often as Ratebusters, you get told to slow down because you're making the rest of us look bad. Don't break the system, settle down, that type of thing. And it's a weird type of tension. As humans, we have this need to belong. So do you dim your light to make others more comfortable, or do you just go at your own pace, even if it makes things a little bit awkward? So again, just to define, a Ratebuster, it really just came from the factory floor. If you worked too fast, you risked setting a new benchmark. So as a result of setting a new benchmark, everyone else's workload increased, and probably without extra pay. What the workers would informally do is agree on a pace. Like, we're going to work in, it might be actually a high pace, but if someone broke that, they were a Ratebuster. And that was actually a real threat. Fast forward to today, I absolutely believe Ratebusters still exist, but they're now, in your Zoom meetings, your sales teams, your innovation projects. They're delivering high quality work faster than expected, or better than expected, or maybe differently to what you expected because they're driven, they're excited, they're curious, whatever. But on the flip side, it can make people really uncomfortable. So why do Ratebusters get pushback? I think what's really happening is you are disrupting the status quo because you use a new benchmark, use a new way of working. You're revealing what's possible, and unintentionally you're making others question their own effort. I think this is super relevant now, Ratebusters, particularly in the world of AI. So if you're someone that is adopting the technology and using it, getting things done faster, creating new processes and workflows, that is a massive threat to someone who doesn't want to evolve or change their ways or anything else. So they are threatened by your behavior. You think, oh, this is amazing. This is really great and rewarding. We can do things, work on better tasks or better projects or sink our teeth into something more meaningful. Actually, what you're doing is threatening the status quo. So people, you might get pushback. And I found this often in organizations where I was questioning a lot of the way we did things. And I felt like, what is wrong with me? Because people just weren't really coming along or engaging with that. It's a tough mirror to hold up. And it's actually really about fear, the fear that the bar just got raised, that there'll be more work, or that their current effort is no longer safe enough to keep them employed, right? To give them that certainty. So I love hanging around Ratebusters. I think a lot of my close business friends are Ratebusters. That's why I like hanging out with them, because I do question everything and do things differently. I think some of the best clients I work with have been Ratebusters too, in terms of they're open to new approaches and new ways of working. But if you're a Ratebuster, how do you deal with this? I think one is, it's not just about outperforming, so not just about you outperforming. I absolutely think it's around being generous with that and uplifting your team as well. So sharing your shortcuts, let others in on your process. I call it working in public. So make it feel collaborative and not competitive. Explain, your why. And often I do this because I'm just trying this out and seeing what works. And that kind of softens the blow when you communicate it. So providing that context as well, as opposed to, I just want to AI the heck out of this so we all lose our jobs. It's not the case. It's more we can do this, but then move on to other things. And I guess if you're leading a Ratebuster as well, maybe it's important to, I would say, share this term with them and coach them Often rate busters find that politics can let them down because there's a logical, easier path to doing it, but often there's a lot of negotiating and trying to get people like to buy into that, right? I guess like the whole work in public is bringing them into process improvement, change initiatives, and mentoring as well. Look, I think the easy thing for anyone to do when they hear about this is go like, all right, I'm going to fly under the radar. I'm going to match the pace. I'm not going to ruffle feathers. I think there's a point in some careers where it's like, yeah, maybe that's legit for you, or a season and like you don't want to raise attention particularly. Other points, it's like, yeah, enjoy the bold path. And as a result, you're going to raise the bar for everyone else, which is a great thing. I always think so. Anyway, a rising tide lifts all boats. So are you a rate buster? Do you know any rate busters? Have you been told to slow down before? Let me know. I'd love to keep this conversation going. But yeah, what a cool phrase. Thanks for listening, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.